What is going on, you guys? This is All Danny Day 1 on the PS4, and I'm going to be giving you another Sword Art Online build video. So this build is going to be for yourself and your ArFA-sys included. This is going to be a sword build for your main character and then a buff build for your ArFA-sys. The reason why I didn't want to separate the videos is because ArFA-sys, although her build is going to be useful regardless of having a sword build for yourself or physical damage or whatever, this particular build for ArFA-sys is going to make your sword build a lot better and make you more survivable. So that's why I didn't want to separate the two videos or the two builds. So that's why this video is going to be a bit longer than it should be. So first things first is we're going to go ahead and look at the stats. So I'm going to go ahead and unequip my accessories really quick. So for the stats, I have 157 strength, 120 vitality, 50 intelligence, 130 agility, 120 dexterity, and 100 luck. So the main stat you're going to want to focus on, regardless of being level 150 or level 10 and you're using a sword, is you're going to be using strength. You want strength to be the primary stat because that's where your damage comes from, is your strength. You're going to be if you're going to be using swords, they do more damage when you have higher strength. If you look at the description of strength, it says affects melee damage as well as how much weight you can carry. It also affects weaponry. So the higher strength you have, the more melee damage you do. The reason why I stopped at 157 and not all the way up to 200 or 255 is because I needed stats in the other stuff and the other attributes. So vitality, agility, dexterity, and luck are also going to be very important, but agility and dexterity are going to be basically like your sub stats that you're going for. So you have your primary stat, which is strength, agility, and dexterity as your sub stats, and then your luck and vitality are going to be like, or technically I guess agility and dexterity would be your secondary stats, and then luck and vitality your sub stats, and then intelligence would be the last thing you would put points into, but you do still want to put points into intelligence because you're going to be you want to have your cooldowns for your skills and gadgets to recharge pretty quick. Your gadget especially because you're going to have a melee booster in there, so if you can get that recharge quicker, then the more damage you'll be doing. And then skills, you want those recharged fast as well because that way you can sustain your DPS as well. Agility, that way you can move around a lot more often, a lot faster, as well as being able to use your abilities. Your abilities do need agility. And dexterity, you want to have dexterity so you can use the weapons, and so you can also use the gun and sword. You need dexterity, and then I believe that you need dexterity for specific stats or skills as well. I'm not exactly sure which ones again. And then luck, you want luck just for the crit chance mainly. The item drop rate's really nice as well, so that's a good bonus. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the skills that I use. So the skill sets I have are Horizontal Square, Vorpal Strike, Sharp Nail, and Star Splash. So you have to keep in mind with Star Splash, it does a lot of damage, but it's going to keep you in one spot when you're using this, and you cannot cancel it. So if you miss, you're going to miss, and if you get shot, you're going to get shot, and you won't be able to you're not going to be able to reduce any of the damage. Now if you do hit the enemy, it's going to be very satisfaction, like, I guess I don't even know the words that I'm looking for right now. But yeah, and then Vorpal Strike, when you use Vorpal Strike, you're gonna hold it down. When you hold it down, you want to wait till you see the blink on your character. When you see the blink, that means your Vorpal Strike is going to do the max damage that it can do. Now, if you have buffs and everything going on, and your ArFA-sys buffs you with everything she's got, or whatever you make your ArFA-sys, Vorpal Strike can hit up, at least with mine, the highest I've seen it hit was 48k. So it does a lot of damage. So I would highly recommend keeping this. Sometimes you will miss, sometimes you won't. Depends. And then Horizontal Square is a nice AoE ability as well, and it does nice burst damage. It does 4 swings as well, 4 hits. And then Sharp Nail is also really good. So you're gonna do, I believe it's 2 hits first, and then it hits 3 times. It does 3 damages on the 3rd hit. So it's going to be really useful, and then it also can be used, it can be performed mid-air as well. So if there's an enemy in the air, you can use that, or if their weak spots kind of a little further up, you can just jump up and then use Sharp Nail. And then for my gun and sword, I have Hyper Awareness, Power Form, sword Barrier, and Shield Matrix. So these two are going to be very important, Hyper Awareness and Shield Matrix. Hyper Awareness basically lets you not take any of the damage that's going to be, or not, that will one-shot pretty much, do heavy damage. Sorry, I'm trying to find my words. I just kind of like woke up in a way, but yeah. Well, like I said, Hyper Awareness is going to pretty much avoid heavy damage. So far from what I've noticed, it saves my life multiple times. And then Power Form increases your damage output, so this will definitely help you out a lot. Unfortunately, when ArFA-sys uses her power shot to you, it's not going to override, it's not going to stack. So I'm pretty sure it's whatever hits you first. So if you use your Power Form 3 first, and then she hits you with her power shot's not going to stack or override yours. If she uses hers first, I'm pretty sure you can't override her power shot. And then Sword Barrier. Sword Barrier is going to be very important as well, because you're going to be deflecting bullets. So if you have a bunch of enemies shooting at you from all sides, Sword Barrier is going to be the thing you're going to want to use, because you're going to deflect every single shot, or almost every single shot that's coming at you. Now if you try to shoot them, it's going to stop the Sword Barrier. You can't shoot and block at the same time, unfortunately. And then Shield Matrix. With Shield Matrix, I only use this whenever I need to use it. For example, if I know the boss is going to do a lot of damage or do a one-shot on me, I'll use Shield Matrix. If I have a bunch of enemies on me and I can't deflect all of them, or if my Sword Barrier is on cooldown or whatever, then Shield Matrix is going to be the ability you're going to want to use. It's basically like, this is going to save you from anything and everything, because you won't take any damage from anything at all. And then make sure you also hold down that ability as well. So my gadgets I have set up is First Aid Kit, Metamaterial Camouflage, Melee Booster Kit, and Electromag Stun Trap. Electromag Stun Trap will drop the enemies. Sometimes it will take a few of these, sometimes it only takes one. A lot of times it takes one if it's a smaller enemy. So you use this and then you start wailing on the enemy. You definitely want to use Melee Booster Kit for as much as you can, because it's going to increase your melee damage a whole lot more than what it is right now. Metamaterial Camouflage, I only use Metamaterial Camouflage if I'm going to go use Electromag Stun Trap on the enemy. Other than that, I don't really use it too much. And the First Aid Kit, I just use this whenever, because you get healing over time. So you never know when you take damage. If you take damage, you're going to get healed over time with this. Now with my abilities, my gear, I'm going to go ahead and go back here and load, yes, I'm going to load my loadout so I don't have to look for it. With the equipment, I have the Masamune G4 and Masamune G9. There's a G2, G4, and G9. They're all good. I think the G2 does the most damage, but the stats you're going to want to look for on both of them would be damage versus life forms, damage versus mechs, weapon attack, crit damage, crit rate, and damage behind enemy. So those are going to be the 6 you're looking for. Damage when off guard is not going to be useful at all for a sword build, because the enemy is always, once they get in combat, that doesn't even apply anymore, the damage when off guard. Damage when off guard is going to only be useful for snipers, in my opinion, snipers or a pistol, because pistols do pretty good damage, but mainly for a distant type of character or a build. And then also another really good one, so damage behind enemy or from behind is going to be really good right there. Another good one is, I'm trying to see if I can remember, damage at max HP is going to be really useful as well if you can keep your health up. And then weak spot damage as well is going to be very useful too, if you can hit the weak spots. If you can't, obviously you're not going to have to worry about it too much. And then there's another, I know there's something else that I'm missing. Damage versus life forms, maybe. I mean, not life forms, humanoids. I'm not too worried about that, because humanoids already get killed pretty fast anyways. It takes a few swings, but yeah, I guess that would probably be it though with the weapons. So damage versus mechs, damage versus life forms, weapon attack, crit rate, crit damage, and damage behind or from behind. And then I guess you can add damage at max HP. Those are all going to be very, very, very useful in order for you to put out as much damage as possible. And then for my accessories, I have display glass. It gives me dexterity, strength, and melee defense. I'm using it because of the strength, because I want to prioritize in putting out as much strength as possible. And then I'm using the Barret. So it gives me 19 dexterity, defense versus humanoids, avoid instant death when HP is 30.67%. I'm pretty sure that's what yeah. So that's what I'm using. But the accessories that I would highly suggest looking for would be anything that gives you probably over 15 strength, anything that gives you avoid instant death, anything that gives you HP recovery per minute, because with that one, let me see if I can find it real quick in here. Right here, so I have 93% of max HP recovered over 1 minute. So what that means is you're getting health over time consistently. You're going to be getting 93% of your health back within that whole minute. You're not getting it 93% each second or whatever, but you're getting it within that whole minute. You're going to get 93% of your health back, and then it resets, and then it's going to go on and on and on and on every 60 seconds. So that's going to be, in my opinion, one of the best things to get as well, is that. And then another one would be the HP recovery as well. So HP recovery, max HP recovered in over 1 minute. The avoid death one, having like a 30% avoid death, and then you want maybe movement speed would be pretty good, but strength is going to be very useful. And that's it for my character. Now I'm going to go over my ArFA-sys. So my ArFA-sys is at, everything is at 100, so 100, 100, and then 200 intelligence, 50, 100, 100. The only reason why you see these as a 111, 239, and 102 is because I have my accessories that gives me those extra stats. But the reason why I went with 100 strength is so she can dual wield. Unfortunately, I need 104 strength to dual wield my long stroke pistol, but I'm not worried about that because she's not here to do damage. But yeah, regardless, I just wanted her to dual wield. And also, she having that much strength, you can have her use a sword, and she can also help out with damage with the sword, or you can have her use just a Tiamat if you wanted to do that, or just Deathwind, whatever. It doesn't really matter. I just went with 100 strength. And then 100 vitality, so she can have more survivability as well as being able to use healing abilities, because you need vitality in order to use healing. And then intelligence, because the more intelligence she has, if she was able to cap at 255, then she would have the max recharge cooldown and gadget cooldown and the highest effects for skills. And then agility, just so that she can move around faster, as well as having a little bit more defense. Dexterity, because you need dexterity for some skills as well. I think it's the buff skills you need it for. And then luck, just for the extra defense, crit chance, and she can also help affect the drop rates. But the main thing you're going to focus on is intelligence. Regardless of being level 150 or not, you want the most intelligence as possible for her. For skills, well, her skill set that I gave her, so for her pistols, I gave her healing bullet, healing fields, HP recovery, and AED shot. So this is her healer build right here. And then for her submachines, I gave her armor form shot, power form shot, critical form shot, and nanotech boost shot. The reason why I gave her the shots instead of the fields is because the field is a 60-second cooldown regardless. I mean, other than nanotech itself boosts all stats, so I can understand why that's 60 seconds. But armor form, power form, and critical form shot all are 30 seconds minus whatever cooldown it would be with her intelligence at. So armor form shot gives you increase in defense, power form shot increases your damage output, well, to anyone that she gives it to, and then critical form shot increases the critical rate, and then nanotech boost shot, like I said, increases all your stats, all your base stats. And then for her gadget set, her gadget setup, I gave her first aid kit, electromag stun trap, metamaterial camouflage, and flashbang. Flashbang for CC effect, as well as the electromag stun mag, or electromag stun trap. First aid kit so she can heal herself, and then metamaterial camouflage just so she can go invisible and go in and revive allies. I mean, this works a lot for her. And then for her equipment that I gave her, she's using long stroke. Unfortunately, like I said, I can't dual wield it, but she's using long stroke. So the stats on it, you don't necessarily need to worry about debuff stacking because she doesn't have any debuffs on her. Now, if I were to use armor break shot, then the debuff stacking would help. But since I'm not using armor break shot, it doesn't really matter at all for her. The spiral shadow, same thing. I don't have any debuff on it. But crit rate, physical damage, or physical attack, crit damage, weapon damage, all that is going to be useful. All the damage memory chips are going to be useful for her, just so she can help out with damage. But like I said, she's not built to do a lot of damage, so don't worry about that. For her accessories though, I use intelligence, vitality, or her helmet has intelligence, vitality, and blaze damage reduction. And then display glasses gives her 14 intelligence, 2 dexterity, and 10.22% explosive defense. The stats that I would highly recommend for her, just like with the main character accessories that I recommended, was the HP recovery, HP recovery per minute, and then the avoid death at a certain amount of health. Those would be very useful for her in order for her to survive. But I would highly recommend what I would also recommend is recharge timers at 10% or more, including intelligence. So if you add those two together, that would make her cooldowns for her abilities a lot faster, so she'd be able to keep pumping out those buffs, keep pumping out heals as much as she can or as she wants and whatnot. And yeah, so that's it for her equipment. Now I'm going to show you her AI settings. That's what it was. So when you go to AI settings, you're going to prioritize healing, attack on battle start. I kind of mix it up with heal in moderation or heal regularly. I was still testing it out. I do like heal regularly because she's able to keep me healed as much as possible, but heal in moderation, that way I think she's able to use her buffs more often rather than healing more often. Regardless, they're both really good. You can just choose whichever one you find more better or more beneficial for yourself. And then I put prioritize reviving. Prioritize reviving is going to be very good, just so that she can pick up her ally or your allies as well as yourself. Prioritize fighting is also going to be very good if she had a bunch of debuffing abilities. If she had like stuns and the rocket pull, I forgot what it's called, the ability where you pull the enemies. If she had that, and then armor fracture or armor shot, and then the other, just all the debuffing abilities. Prioritize fighting would be more beneficial in a group setting than reviving would. But since I don't have any of those, I put prioritize reviving. So that's pretty much it with both of the builds for both your main character and your ArFA-sys. Like I said, this build for ArFA-sys is going to be really good for any builds that you use, but it's going to be the most beneficial for your sword build because that way all those buffs that she has, she can apply to you. You'll have more damage output, you'll have more defense and crit chance as well. And then she has all those heals as well, so those heals are going to affect you as well a lot. And another thing that I would like to give a tip with this build is if you're dying, if you know you have very low health, just go ahead and pop shield matrix. When you hold it, she's more than likely going to heal you, and then because you can hold it for about 6 to 8 seconds. And then another thing is make sure you prioritize when you're in combat, use your touchpad and have everyone prioritized to healing and support, or whatever, one of the two, healing or support. That way she will be buffing more often and healing more often and as well as reviving. But that's pretty much it with this video. I'm gonna go ahead and show a clip on, or a gameplay clip on this sword build, and yeah, so that's pretty much it. This is all Danny Day 1 on the PS4. If you have any questions on this build, let me know down in the comment section. If you have any suggestions as well with builds and stuff, let me know as well. And yeah, this is all Danny Day 1 on the PS4. Have a good day, good night, and enjoy the rest of the clip.
Good job! キリト